Welcome! In this episode, we're going to give you some answers to the caravan, the truck, and our travel.
G'day everyone, we're at a place called Pebble Beach at Safety Beach in Victoria, and we are going to do a question and answer to answer some of the popular questions and queries that we get.
So we've got three topics, basically questions about the caravan, questions about the truck, and general questions about our travel time. Caravan first. How often do you use the generator?
We've used it 3 times since we left, 3 times in 10 months, and all of those times it was always the case of that we were parked under trees, and we've been there a couple of days and we just run out of power. So we've learnt that we prefer, even if it's hot and full sun, to park in full sun. That way everything's going to be charged up and we use our awning for shade, or we put our chairs and so on under the closest trees for shade.
Yep. Yeah. Is the van too big?
Oh yeah, it's too big when you're driving.
But not for living in.
Or when you're on narrow tracks or bush tracks, it's too big.
Yeah.
And it's too heavy when you're going up hills. But the best thing is when you get to wherever you are, it's perfect because it's our home, and then it's great.
Yeah.
Our idea is hopefully not to be driving, but to be stopped at the right spot and living life from our van.
Yeah.
But not living life driving our van.
No, definitely not. The spice rack.
That's your.
So the spice rack is very popular. It's from TM Essentials, which is affiliated, I think, with Thermomix, and it just comes in the different modules. But yeah, I love it, and as you've seen in the Old Air Highway, we actually check it in the van going along rough roads, and it was perfect.
It's fine.
It was fine.
We've never had a problem.
No.
Except the backing, the plastic backing that's screwed on the wall, that warped under the heat in the caravan, especially on the hot days. So I've just taken that off and used Sikaflex, put tons of it behind it, stuck it back to the wall, screwed it back on, a couple extra screws, and it's been fine ever since.
Yeah, it's been great. I take the big ones out at the top just because I don't want them to tip forward and
They'll probably be okay.
They'll probably be okay, but I don't want to risk it. I don't want to have to clean that up. And I will put the link to the spice rack in our description. Condensation and mould. How's it gone since we did our little mould mess?
Well, it has been good, but we haven't been in very cold climate. Since we've come back to Vic, we can see that there's obviously condensation starting to form again. So we went out and purchased a whole big heap of the desiccant, or the water or moisture absorbing desiccant, and put that all around the van.
Yep.
So we used that, and we're a bit more aware of it now. So far there's been no issues.
Yeah, under the mattress looks
I was
like,
just going to say that.
yeah, after we'd actually...
The mattress, the AirTech liner that we put under the bed mattresses, we haven't had anything more from that at all.
It's been
so that's
great. Yeah, very good.
It's definitely worth it, because that was fairly dear. That was like about
$250?
Yeah, $250 for that little plastic spacer air mattress thing.
Yeah,
we
but
put
definitely
on.
worth it.
Definitely.
Yeah, no regrets there. Spares. What caravan spares do we carry?
We have got, since it's got an airbag suspension that you probably know if you've been watching, I carry fittings to repair any of the air lines like T's and joiners and so on. We also have a spare airbag, and we have a spare proportional valve that controls the height of the van. So the airbag system is, I suppose, the most active system on the van, so that's the things that we have the most problems with. There's leaks sometimes and so on with that. apart from that, for other spares, we now carry shock absorber bolts because we've had an issue with the shock absorbers. Just spare bolts because they can fall out. Well, they shouldn't, but they can.
Spare water filter?
Water filters we carry, spare water filters with charcoal canisters. And wheel bearings. Always carry a spare set of wheel bearings. And I have all the tools and grease and so on to do that. Also wheel hub seals we carry. And a spare set of brake linings for the drum brakes. Only one wheel, just in case we have an issue with a lining that comes apart, falls apart or whatever. We can just put the spare set in, then order another set when we get to some town somewhere.
Yeah. We wouldn't get rid of the airbags, even though they are the most problematic.
No, definitely wouldn't. We love the airbags.
We love them.
I love being able to pull up at a camp and adjust the levelness of the van via the airbags. It's super easy, super quick. You don't have to dig holes, chock wheels and all of that sort of thing. And if you find it's not quite level when you're cooking, because all the oil goes to one side of your fry pan, you just lean over and adjust the level. Or alternatively, the drawers normally...
Yeah, the drawers
normally sort of open. If it's too crooked, you just adjust it and it's great. So yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. Next, how long does the toilet cartridge last really?
Yeah, really.
Really.
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, well, we've got 2 toilet cartridges and the cartridge will last a day and a half, maybe?
2 days. 2 days. If we're using it fully. Day and a half out of a cartridge for 2 people. So I'm not sure how other people with family, that might have 2 or 3 kids and so on, and 2 adults can get their cartridge to last, we've heard, up to 4 days and so on. I don't think it's reasonable.
No, unless they are near like a public
if
toilet.
They're using toilets, of course.
But otherwise I don't know how they could possibly...
If they're fully using their toilet, there is no way in the world that a family can get a toilet cartridge to last 4 days unless they're going elsewhere.
Yeah.
So there's no way.
No,
you can't do
absolutely not. Yeah. Do you use your oven to cook inside? Yes, we do. Absolutely we do. Because of weather. Like our outside kitchen is fantastic, but you can only use it when the weather's appropriate.
Not pouring rain, not blowing a gale.
Yeah.
We don't like cooking when you open the pot and it fills up with sand. It's not really good.
So yes, we use the oven, we use it quite a bit. We use the stovetop a lot, especially the bad weather, as I said, and windy. You've got gas outside, you can't cook outside in the wind. So
we've now purchased an electric cooktop because we don't have any electric elements on any of our cooktops, inside or out. So we've purchased that for when we've got plenty of sun and we can cook off the electric and save our gas. If we know that it's going to be sunny tomorrow and it's going to replenish the battery, we just use electric where we can.
It's free.
Yeah. We also have a toaster and a sandwich press that are all electric, and of course the microwave that we use wherever we can.
And we've got the slow cooker as well.
Oh yeah, the slow cooker.
Yeah, so we just try to utilise the right cooking equipment for the weather and for the use of the gas and the solar. Next question is, what is the one thing that you would get rid of off the caravan if you had your time again?
I sort of like everything, I think, but if we had to change something, I think I would change our outdoor kitchen setup. And instead of having the wok burner plus the little 2-burner stove, I think I would get rid of the 2-burner stove. And I would have 2 wok burners with a windshield, because you can turn those down to a tiny simmer. They're incredible. And then you can turn them up to a massive wok burner flame. So you've got the best of both worlds. So I would have 2 of those, and I don't think I would have the outdoor sink. We use the sink sometimes, but not all the time.
But maybe if we start catching fish.
Well,
maybe.
Maybe.
But maybe if we catch some fish.
I love the barbecue. I love the wok burner. That's great. Do you know what I mean? So
And I would actually remove the hanging in my side of the wardrobe. Because I just find that it's too, I don't know, everything still gets wrinkled anyway, so may as well just roll it up and put it on shelves. So
Yeah.
Would give me more clothing space.
I like my hanging.
You do,
I keep my hanging because then the shirts don't get super wrinkled.
Yeah.
And, so I like my hanging.
Yeah.
But you don't.
No, I don't. I don't at all.
Out with the hanging. Maybe next time we visit Bushtracker, it might be out with Catherine's cupboard.
I think so.
In with the shelves.
Yeah, for sure.
While we're doing one thing we'll get rid of, we might as well do one thing that we put in, which is a larger battery. When we designed the van, I went for the sort of minimum acceptable battery with the most solar that we could fit, and we thought we'd just see how we go with that battery. Well, that's not enough for us.
No.
So we've got a 300 amp hour battery, which really isn't enough. After a day and a half of hot, overcast weather, so you're not getting much solar, the battery's at its lower limit. So we really need probably double, which hopefully we'll put in, which will be 600, and that means we'll get about 4 days of overcast weather before the battery's flat. And it also means we've got ability to run the air conditioner if we pull up for lunch and it's stinking hot, or on those really hot nights where you just want to cool the van down a bit. We've got the ability to run that as well.
Yeah, which would be nice.
Yeah.
What other caravans did we look at besides the Bushtracker?
Which was the Kedron. We had a look at them.
Yeah,
And
the JB?
Yes, it was the JB.
Yeah.
We had a look at them. We also had a look at some ones earlier on, all well-known brands, and I wasn't that impressed with their build quality. The build quality that you don't see is the problem. They look all nice on the inside and beautiful finish on the outside, and everything looks nice, but it's the stuff behind the walls that you don't see that worries me. Yeah. When you're going down the Gib Road.
And that's it. We needed a proper off-road van.
Yeah, we wanted a sturdy, long-lasting van.
Yeah, that we can entrust in.
Yeah.
And they have good after service.
Bushtracker after-sale service is amazing.
Yes, really good.
The best I've ever had in my life, I think.
No complaints there.
Bushtracker. So
yep.
Good job, Bushtracker. After-sale service, Stuart, you've done well.
Yeah, for sure. Caravan parks. How many caravan parks have we been to? I think we worked out that we've been to 3
Something like that.
10 months.
Yeah.
So we went to Harndorf.
For 4 days.
Yeah, we went to Penong. That was
for 1 day to fill up with water, and we had a chat with the caravan park owner, and he was quite happy and good to deal with.
Where else did we? We had to use the caravan park in Perth because we were getting the truck fixed.
That's right.
So yeah, that was kind of a have to.
And we stayed in the paid RV parking at Cow while I was working for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
And that's
unpowered, but a paid RV site. So
it was much cheaper than the caravan park.
Yeah.
So
$50 a week.
Yeah.
And you get a lovely spot to camp. You know, walking distance to town.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah, it was. It was great. Yeah. What's gone wrong? How long do you have?
What's gone wrong? Really, not that much has gone wrong.
With the caravan.
With the caravan, that is. But there has been a few things gone wrong. I can quickly go through them. The reason why we got spare brake shoes is because for some reason they failed and all delaminated within the first 5,000 Ks and come apart. So fixed that. We had issues with the airbag. That's why we've got a spare airbag. We've had air leaks, which we've mostly fixed, and some water leaks, mind you.
You've just done the sullage, the grey water?
The grey water was coming back out the shower, so we fixed that.
Yeah.
We broke the front electric leg going through the creek crossing, so we've now modified that so it can't get caught anymore.
Yep.
We've had nothing really break. Yeah. The shocker bolts all come loose on the old air highway down the bottom.
Yeah.
We still need to resolve that problem because I think it will happen again. But we'll keep an eye on that and work on that. Yep. The airbag bolts all fell out.
Oh yeah.
That's a probably big one when the airbags fall out. So the airbag bolts for some reason rattled loose. There's only got in the bottom of the airbag, under the air bladder itself, there's only one bolt that locates that whole thing on the bottom, and those bolts had for some reason rattled out. So I got new bolts and put a Loctite on them, so they won't be coming out again. So that will be resolved. Apart from the van being too big and getting stuck on the Murray between trees. And
But that's our own
a
fault.
few minor things like that. The awning's a bit dubious in the wind.
Yeah.
The electric awning,
Yeah.
it's not the most sturdy awning. Well, it's
Yeah,
the least sturdy awning,
Yeah,
actually.
we probably would get an anti-flap kit.
Problem is the anti-flap kit is every time you pull up, if you want to put it on, it takes you half an hour to put it all on.
Yeah.
And then if it gets really, really windy, well, you
Then you've
have
got
to
to
take it all
anyway.
off.
Yeah.
But so, I don't know, I'm undecided about that.
Yeah.
The good thing about the electric awning is it just takes, well, what, half a minute to go.
Well, that's it for the questions on the caravan. Next, we'll move on to the truck questions. Now we'll go through the questions that you have about the truck. So first question that was quite popular was our tyre pressures. So what tyre pressure do we run for highway and sand?
Well, on the old tyres, on the highway we used to do the maximum pressure possible, which was 65 psi. The new tyres are different because we can go to a higher pressure. So on the new tyres we run about 80 in the rear, and in the front we still have currently our old tyres which we run at 50. When we get the new tyres, I think we'll probably run at about 50 or 55 the same. On the sand, the absolute minimum pressure you can run the tyres on the truck is 20 psi. If you go any less than that and do anything, they'll just come straight off the rim. So 20 psi is the absolute minimum in the sand. I'd comfortably run around 25 or 27.
The new tyres, people want to know how they are.
Now, that's a little bit difficult to say at the moment because we've only done about, I don't know, 700 kilometres on the new tyres. So currently they're fine. They feel a little bit stiffer than the old ones, but apart from that, what can I say? They appear to be fine at the moment, so we'll see how they go.
Hopefully really good.
Hopefully.
Spares for the truck that you have.
Spares, apart from all the tools to fix majority of things on the truck, we take spare front wheel bearings. We have obviously all the spares like radiator hoses, fan belts, all of those sort of. I've got a few odds and end hoses as well that fit specifically for the truck. We carry a full range of service spares, so fuel filters, air filter, all of that stuff that we need for a service for two reasons. If we get water in the fuel, at least we can empty the tank, change the filters, put new filters on, and we're good to go. Same if we have dirty fuel. Other reason is we can always do a service when we want to, or get somebody to do a service when we want to with the spares provided to them, and then later on we can replenish our spares for servicing at when we go to a main town. So if we're in a remote town, we can still have our servicing done.
And he's pretty handy with all that stuff.
Yeah, you want to be pretty handy if you're going around Australia, I think. You don't want to be relying 100% on everybody else, because invariably they're either too busy or there's no one around or they're not open or something like that, and it'll land you in all sorts of trouble.
Or we end up with a hack job and he has to fix it anyway.
Or that too.
Next would be, is the truck too big for us?
No, truck's great.
Yeah, we love it.
Truck's a good size. It is a little bit more difficult when you're, say, in a small parking lot or something like that. It takes up at least 2 parking lots, and normally 4 because of the length of it. But apart from that, you can get around most things. Tracks are fairly fine. They're always wide enough to just fit, because when you're in a normal 4-wheel drive, everyone tends to drive all over the place anyway. So you can normally fit along most tracks. The only thing is you cannot pick your line. So if you're going up a rocky hill in a standard 4-wheel drive, you can have a choice of moving either way and picking your line and sorting it out a little bit better. With the truck, you've got no choice whatsoever. You can just go straight. The only other real problem is low trees. If you've got low overhanging branches and that sort of thing, because it's fairly square compared to a 4-wheel drive which sort of tapers in, and when it tips it's got more clearance on the sides. So the truck does have a little issue with that, and you need to take that into account when you're driving it.
And we love the twin cab.
Love the twin cab, it's great. Chuck all the shopping in the back,
Yeah.
clothes in the back, Obviously people, if they come along.
Yeah.
So that makes it easy as well.
It's really handy. Would you buy the truck again? Well, obviously the answer is yes, going by that.
Yep, we'd buy the truck again.
But the other part of that question is, would we buy an AMT again?
No, I don't know about the AMT.
Yeah. So AMT is the automatic
Manual transmission.
manual transmission. So yeah.
It is great in the city. If you've got stop and go traffic, it's great. It comes with cruise control and all of that. So on the open road, it's great. Rolling hills, it's great. But if you get into like steeper hills and tight turns on the road, you really need to put it back in manual, which is fine because it operates in manual just like a normal standard gearbox, but you don't have a clutch. So that's all fine. The things where it gets a bit trickier is when you go off-road. When you're off-road, it doesn't perform like a full automatic and it doesn't perform like a full manual. It can become more difficult off-road. I was hoping it would act a bit more like a full automatic, but that is not the case. Off-road, I'd go a manual for sure if that's really what you really wanted to do. Even especially hardcore off-road, yeah, I'd go a full manual.
Yeah.
But if it had an option of a full automatic, a real automatic that is, like an Allison automatic, a truck one, I'd definitely pick that. But that's not the case.
Yeah. I prefer the automatic, well the AMT, purely because just driving the truck is enough for me to think about. I don't want to have to think about gears. We have the lead acid batteries, and why didn't we go lithium?
So in the truck, in the canopy, we have 420 ampere hour lead acid batteries. The original reason or thought was with them, if the truck batteries, the main truck battery ever fails, I can take 2 of these batteries out and use them to start and drive the truck with. So that was the original thought. And number 2, they're half the price. These alone were about, I think, $1,100 for the lead acid, so lithium is way more, probably triple that in cost. The bad thing about the lead acid compared to lithium is it takes a lot longer to fully recharge. So if you go for a short drive with a lithium or a couple hour drive, it'll be nearly fully recharged, whereas the lead acid battery will only be possibly half charged. So you really need to drive a lot longer, or you need a lot more solar in hours to recharge a lead acid battery. Another bad thing about them is they're at least 3 times heavier than a lithium. So all of that considered now, the next time I think when these batteries are due for replacement in 5 or 7 years, probably 7 years, we will change over to lithium. So all of our controllers and everything are capable of handling lithium, and the charger, we just need to select different settings, put some lithium batteries in, and off we go. So when that comes about, I think we'll be doing that, and it will save us 100 kilos
for sure
in weight.
Yeah. Why did we pick a truck? Well, I guess before we answer that, why we picked a truck, what other vehicles did we consider?
So I did have a look originally at the 79 series Land Cruiser because I liked it, always have.
Very pretty.
And also some of the larger American trucks is what we were looking at. We drove a Land Cruiser, we priced Land Cruisers, we priced modifications to Land Cruisers and so on. And in the end, we decided that to carry the weight that we needed, because bear in mind we're full-time on the road, and we have a bit of gear and we like it that way.
Yeah.
To carry the weight we needed a 6-wheel drive Land Cruiser. And that's the only thing that I was comfortable with to tow a large caravan as well. I didn't want to tow a large van up to the very limit of the tow vehicle and be in any bad situations should they come up when you're towing. So there was 2 reasons for that. So we priced up the Land Cruiser and I started to look at it, and I decided even with all the modifications and 6-wheel drive and upgrades and so on, in the end it's going to cost the same as purchasing the truck that we did. But the only problem is you still have a Land Cruiser, and you still have a Land Cruiser front diff, and you still have a Land Cruiser gearbox and so on. So you really don't have a vehicle that is, well, designed for what you're doing with it. It might have changed it and it may be very good, and it might be good off-road, which they are, especially 6-wheel drive, but it is just not designed to carry around 5.5 tonne or day and tow a big van with those smaller components and smaller chassis and smaller drive components. So we looked at the truck, we loved the truck, we looked at the big American trucks and they were just too dear. So the starting price of those is nearly our finishing price for the truck, you know what I mean, after all the mods. So they're just too dear. If I had endless money, I'd probably consider one of them.
But then we wouldn't have been able to full drive,
Yeah.
so you've got to give one thing up to get something else.
And the bad thing about the American trucks is availability of spares. We can get spares anywhere in Australia just like that because they're used everywhere in the mining towns and all of that. So spares are not a problem for us at all, but they would be if you have an American truck. So really that's why we picked our truck. It's strong, it's tough, it's reliable, and they were the first main things that I was concerned with. I didn't want to spend all my money on a vehicle that I was going to keep and do this sort of thing for a long time, to have it break all the time, fall apart and wear out quickly. I wanted something tough and reliable.
And you're able to service it and all that stuff. Like
it's all relatively simple. There's no funniness in the drivetrain apart from the AMT, and that is still a standard manual gearbox with a torque converter on front. So there's nothing really hard about the truck to do with mechanical stuff.
What's gone wrong with the truck?
What's gone wrong with the truck? I've had a few things go wrong with the truck. The first real thing was the broken front CV. We're not really sure why it broke, not even sure how it broke. We've got a couple of ideas, but the bottom line was we didn't abuse it at all, and somehow it broke, which was fixed under warranty by Isuzu, which is great.
They believed it was a faulty part.
They're not really sure what happened. We've asked around with all the Isuzu owners and Isuzu itself, and they've never had one fail in Australia, they believe, and nobody's ever heard of one failing. So we're lucky, I guess. We're the first ones.
Always the lucky ones.
Yeah. So we're lucky. So we had that repaired, but unfortunately the repairer had an error when they repaired it and they forgot to put in a thrush washer. So a few weeks later or a month or so later while we're four-wheel driving, we had more issues with that front end, which was just due to incorrect fitment when the repairer did the repair. So fortunately had to go back to Isuzu, and that was obviously repaired under warranty. And since then we've had no more problems with that, which is great. Hopefully we don't have any more ever.
No.
With that anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Then we've had the tyres, obviously.
We had the tyres that you're probably aware of if you've seen our videos. And apart from that, we haven't had any other things that I can think
just
of.
The bloody annoying squeaking, and you would see it in the videos. But
squeaking suspension, which is a aftermarket suspension from All Terrain Warriors. That's not Isuzu. Performs better, of course, than Isuzu. It's much better, much more comfortable, more travel, everything. But it just doesn't stop squeaking. I oil it and lubricate it, and it's fine for about 2 weeks, and then it comes back again.
Pretty much as soon as we pull the camera out to start recording the truck, it starts squeaking.
Yeah, so
guarantee.
I don't know what the long-term fix for that is, but currently I just squirt some WD-40 or inox in the springs, in the leaves every couple of weeks, and then it quietens it down. But like I said, if you go in the mud or go through the water, or it just comes back again. So I don't know what we're going to do about that.
No idea.
It's not a mechanical issue, it's just a pain in the arse. And squeaks.
Absolute pain in the arse,
Just an update on our canopy solar panels. We had the flexible ones fail, if you weren't aware about it, probably a couple months ago now. We got onto the Australian supplier of those and we had some difficulties with them. They were challenging, to say the least, but in the end they decided it was in everyone's best interest to refund us the money for those panels, which was fine. That's all that we were after. So we've gone ahead and purchased a new set of fixed solar panels. They're Victron panels, which is a reasonably good name brand, and I've installed them on the canopy. They are twice as heavy as the original flexible panels, which is a bit of a downside, but unfortunately we can't do anything about that.
No.
But the main thing is that they're reliable, So hopefully they prove to be quite reliable and last the test of time. But we'll see. We will do a quick video on how we fitted them to the tent. That's our rooftop tent, and show you what you did with them. But hopefully they're going to be good. They seem good. They've made the roof of the tent a lot stiffer and stronger, which is good because it was quite flexible. So hopefully that'll help everything, and it turns out to be good.
Hopefully. So one of the big questions is, are we going to go more remote than what we already do? The answer is yes.
I was going to say if we can all the time.
That's our preference, to always be. So yeah.
Well, from here we're heading north, so I will probably have to get work somewhere in Queensland or northern New South Wales, I think. Get a little bit more money together, and from then we'll be going hopefully Fraser Island, around there and up the Cape. By then it will be wet season, so we will have to find somewhere to hang out and work hopefully for the wet season, and then we'll head up the Cape and across under the Gulf and all around the top end.
So hopefully lots of remote stuff for you.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we take a next year to get through Queensland, because we're not the fastest and there's a lot to see up there, so who knows, maybe for the next year we'll be in far north Queensland.
Yeah, so if you know some places, let us know.
Yeah, we're keen for remote, hard to get to places that are nice in Queensland.
Yep. And because we're off-grid, like, we can do that, and so the next question is, you know, our off-grid situation, does it work for us?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Except, like we just said before, that we need some more battery storage. But apart from that, everything to do with the solar setup is great.
Yeah.
So we don't have any problems with solar at all, unless we're in shade under trees, or that it's been really overcast and very warm for a few days, so that the fridges and everything are working very hard at night and all day, and they don't get much power back into the batteries.
Yeah. So we're running 2 freezers in the truck, full time. Then we've got the fridge in the van, and we've also got eskies that we freeze blocks for as well. Next is the main thing that we have to consider when we're picking somewhere to go. So that's pretty much, we always look at our dump points, where they are next, where we can source water from.
Yep.
And the last one is free camps. Yeah, if we can get a free camp over anything, isn't it?
Or maybe that's around the other way. Free camp first,
well,
and then try and find water and a dump point that work with that free camp.
Free camp,
yeah,
true. Yeah,
not around
true.
the other way.
But yeah, either way, the water and dump points dictate a hell of a lot of our route.
That's right.
So yeah, do we plan on going overseas? Yes.
Hopefully, one day. The truck is designed to fit in what they call a high cube shipping container. So it can fit in one of those containers, and it can be shipped overseas. So we will have the ability, if we want, to ship the truck to New Zealand, South Africa, and places like that.
Yeah.
That's when we run out of Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know.
And when we earn some more money.
Yeah, when we earn a bit more money.
Do we get bored? Absolutely not.
Haven't been bored yet.
No.
And we're always busy.
Yeah.
And we're not really sure how we actually even used to fit in full-time work in the rest of our life with our farm. We've forgotten how to do that.
Yeah.
So, yep, never bored.
No.
Always busy doing something.
Yep. Always, different things to see and do.
And by the way, I don't think I could ever go back to full-time work.
No.
I don't think it could ever happen again.
So if you've got part-time work.
Part-time work's okay. Full-time, no more.
What's gone wrong in our travels? COVID. Hello.
COVID was a bad thing.
That's the obvious one.
And it made things a little bit more difficult, but it obviously didn't stop us. It just made a few changes to our plans. Not that we really had plans, but you just have to work with the situation like everyone else in the world and be flexible.
Yeah, so we were really lucky in the fact that we don't have a plan at all or a direction. Originally, we were heading through New South Wales. We were going to go up and see, what's that river? The one that's got water in?
Yes.
The Darling River. Because of COVID and they were shutting everything down, we applied for each state to see who would let us in, and South Australia were the only ones that would let us in.
Good old South Australia.
Yeah, so hence we didn't take the Darling. Yeah, we went to South.
And did the Flinders Ranges and so on.
All that, yeah.
And then the weather changed our direction again because we were going to go north in South Australia, but everything was flooded and closed for weeks. So we went south to the beach.
Yeah. And then, eventually got our way across into WA and... then turned around and came back to Vic. Best camp. I think my best camp for remoteness was Bascom Well, and for a bit of luxury and niceness was Palubi Beach.
Okay, my favourite was Bascom Well as well, and my second favourite was Shingles Beach on the Spencer Gulf. I like that, and that was lovely. That had, it was beach, obviously, what was pebbles, and it had snorkeling and fishing and all of that sort of thing, so I love that.
Lots of foraging.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah.
The next question that we get asked a lot is about water. So on the truck we have the ability to carry 300 litres of water, and in the van 580 litres of water. So that can last us, it doesn't sound long, but 2 weeks normal living. So by normal living, I mean we have showers like you would normally do.
Daily,
whenever you do. You use your tap and wash your hands just like normal. You wash the clothes just like normal. So at the end of 2 weeks, you're just like when you started the 2 weeks. Not like you've gone camping and you come back and you've got a big thing of clothes that you need to wash and dirty dishes. You know what I mean? All
and
of that sort of
stink.
stuff. Yeah, none of that. So 2 weeks living normal. If we wanted to conserve water, that's a different story. Obviously, with a total of 800 and something litres, we can last a long time if we really wanted to conserve water.
Yeah.
Just the car that is four-wheel driving, if there was a stream nearby, we could have 50 litres, which is what we used to carry. For instance, when we used to go camping with our kids, we only had 50 litres of water, and that would last us 5 days. So the majority of that was drinking and maybe a little bit of cooking, but we normally used to use the stream. If you're dry camping, well, it's a little bit less. 50 litres won't last 4 people 5 days, obviously, because you need more water. I suppose, how long could we last? Months is the answer, with the water that we got, if we really need to.
Yep.
But that means maybe we'd smell a bit.
Possibly. What's our worst camp?
Worst camp? Oh, the worst camp would have been St Kilda, near Adelaide, at the boat ramp for 4 or 5 days with hoons flying around at night.
Pretty much have to agree with that.
That would have been the worst camp. It was lovely by day. It was like some sort of double-sided campsite. Lovely by day, nice cut grass, people, playground and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then by night, all the Grim Reapers come out.
It was a shocker.
Donuts, whatever else, you know what I mean, all around the campsite every night. So,
but in their defence, we were parked in a car park.
In a car park at the boat ramp. Legally, it was a legal RV spot.
You had to pay.
That you had to pay for that. That you had to pay for that privilege.
The hardest thing with travelling with dogs, I think, is obviously can't go to national parks. We have lots of camps that are not dog friendly.
Yep.
So that does cause issues.
I think the hardest thing's not national parks. I was going to say, I definitely didn't like having dogs anywhere where there's 1080 and all that stuff. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
And also I think the heat when they're in the back of the truck, you know what I mean, when it's a really hot day, or just say you stop somewhere for a little while and they happen to be on the hot side with the sun shining in, That's a concern, I think, do you know what I mean? Because it's unpleasant and really hot for them. And like when we're on the Nullarbor and it's 49 in the shade, do you know what I mean? In the truck, because of the engine heat and everything else, it's probably 50-something degrees in the shade that the dogs have to put up there.
And luckily for us, like, we're not in a rush to get anywhere, so we can stop when we think the dogs are hot. We just stop, pull over, find a camp, because obviously their health and safety is our priority as well.
But the things I like about dogs is they're dogs.
Yeah.
And they're great to travel with. You get to meet a lot of other dog-friendly people that love dogs, you know what I mean?
Their security.
Company. You know, it's nice to go for walks with them and all of that sort of thing. There's a lot of positive things, along with that they make you search for less discovered campsites. Because everybody else without a dog just goes to the national park. You go down there, the national park's booked out nearly, or it's full, and so on. And there's all these other beautiful camps that you don't quite see or don't look for, because you've got a one-minded attitude that you want to go to the national park.
That's true.
And around the corner there's beautiful camps that are probably better than the national park.
Yes.
And there's no one there because everyone's in the national park.
And we have camped in a state park that is right next to the national park. And one side of the fence you can have a dog and the other side you can't. So.
And one side was free and the other side was not.
Not quite sure how that works, but we were the winners.
Yep, definitely.
What navigation equipment and stuff do we use? So we use Wikicamps, Hema maps, flat normal maps if we have them, and Google Maps sometimes.
Google Maps and Google Earth.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we use, and we kind of just skirt between each one depending where we are and which map offers the most information.
Yeah, I'm not super impressed, honestly, with the Hema maps. They're quite okay, you know, they're good, but sometimes they lack a bit of detail and all of that sort of thing. Like, they're not the resolution isn't high enough and so on. I have heard of another map called Aussie Explorer that I would like to look at. A lot of people say they've got a lot more detail than the Hema maps, and they cover all of Australia as well. We can get, or we have previously had, mapping, and they call them vector mapping for all of Victoria and so on, but it never covered all of Australia. We need an Australia-wide, not just one part of Australia, with super high detail. That doesn't work for us anymore.
No, it doesn't.
It has to be all of Australia, and we'd like detail in all of Australia.
All of Australia.
Yeah. So I'm going to look into them.
Yep.
See what information I can find, and maybe we will switch to Aussie Explorer. And before we embarked on our trip, we heard from a few people, and also off the internet and YouTube and so on, that a lot of people have 3-month regrets where they've been travelling for 3 months and all of a sudden they think, oh no, what have we done? I don't think we should be doing this. It's not going to be good, and we're not going to have enough money and all of that.
We
sort
don't
of
have
stuff.
a home to return to.
Yeah, we've got no more home and all that. So some people have that situation. We didn't.
No.
At all. We didn't even realise 3 months had gone past. So I don't know why we're different. Maybe because we lived in our van for 6 months before, and it was just an extension of living in our van, as opposed to packing up your whole house on one weekend, hopping in your van and leaving. Maybe, I don't know why, but we definitely didn't have that situation.
Not at all.
I'm enjoying, and I'm quite sure that Catherine's enjoying travelling, and we won't be going back in a hurry to anything that resembles full-time home living.
No,
we are definitely full-time on the road for a long time. So another little tip that we have heard from some friends: leave your van hooked to your vehicle if you've gone somewhere to stay and you're a little bit concerned. Or maybe not even if you're concerned, just leave it hooked to your vehicle until you're satisfied that the area that you're in or the situation that you're in is all good. Then obviously you can unhook, but that gives you the ability to leave very quickly, maybe in the middle of the night if it happens to be that, with doing the minimal of stuff to get mobile again if there's a bad situation that's come up. Yeah,
we've heard people arrive at somewhere to work and they unhook and stuff, and all they want to do in the middle of the night is disappear. So just keep yourself hooked on for a while. Make sure you're comfortable with where you are and your surrounds and the people, and then unhook. Prior to us getting the caravan and the truck, we actually had a run in the middle of the night from a camp, didn't we?
Yep.
So
had a bad experience,
Yeah.
which will happen.
And we're seasoned campers, but
Yeah, you just
if it's not comfortable, go.
get out while you can,
Yeah.
because you generally know when something's not right, even if you just sense it that it's something's not going to be right or it's not going to go good. Trust your instincts.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to leave early than leave at 3 a.m. like we had to, but you know what I mean, if you would have left in before it happened, you know what I mean, obviously it's a little bit of trouble to pack up and move or whatever, but it's easier to do it when you're before you've had dinner or just after, compared to when you're in the middle of the night.
For sure.
And that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We hope this Q&A has been helpful to you, answered some questions maybe, or some doubts that you may have. If you still got any further questions, always please send us a message and we'll try and get back to you.
Yep.
Or we will get back to you. We've been doing it for 10 months now.
Yep.
And I think we've been going great. We love it.
Yep.
And we're going to continue doing it for a long time to come.
No regrets.
No regrets for sure. So hopefully you can keep supporting us.
Yep.
And we can keep producing videos and information that you like.
And don't forget, we love a thumbs up.
Cheers.
I think the park's closed.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, what's the time?
I don't know. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. If you want a reminder, hit the bell. And remember, we always love a thumbs up.
Next week,
We head to the big high plains.
who knows? It may be wet, it may be sunny, it may even be snowing. But one thing for sure, it's gonna be freezing.
Shoot him, pull, crack a jack, take off now.